You know, you on that, didn't you know? Can
How
I
you
get
doing?
a window seat? No, nobody next to me.
And the little cry, and cry,
How she
and I
sound like? She's the
cry.
only artist in history to sound like both an old lady and a child in the same voice.
It was the same exact time. That's
Yeah,
Lady
man, I'm
Eshu vibes.
chilling, man. Was
That's
that?
Lady. That's Lady Eshu vibes right there.
I'm chilling.
Mhm.
I'm chilling, man. I saw that the social media conversation recently was about how the actor Jonathan Majors is ugly, and I was just like, oh, so then I have no chance. Like, what? So what are we really saying? Like, what
Niggas
is
is
happening?
niggas is so mean, bro. Like okay, but here's it. Oh, god damn it. I don't like talking and having opinions anymore. I feel so different than I did. I feel the opposite of how I felt in 20s. In my 20s, oh, I loved all my opinions and having them and shit. Now I know everything is a fucking contradiction. I'm a hypocrite because that makes no. It's like this makes sense, but to roundly dismiss him seems it like that seems a little bit aesthetically absurd to me. It's like, I
Yeah.
mean,
What are we talking about? Like, what are we really talking about when we're like, so this dude who I don't know. I just feel like it. This is why I struggled in high school because in high school, like bitches used to call me ugly, and I was just like, I don't know what y'all on, but I am hurt. Like
okay,
I didn't have the fucking confidence to be like, oh yeah, fuck you, bitch. You know, you
I
got some
got
other
it.
shit going on, and so whatever else. But I like over time when I started to really like, I think you gotta like find your audience. So over
Yeah,
time, when it was like I found my audience, and I just knew like, okay, like the people who are into me are like really into me, and so I don't really have to worry about the fact that like this or that type of aesthetic is not everybody's aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like I stopped thinking so much about it on a conscious level.
it it's reminding me because like high school is so immature. That's another thing though. It's like it's such a
Yeah.
popularity contest, and that like human beings, we're weird, man. Like this, so there's like a group think aspect too, where it's like it just once it becomes popular to have an opinion, everybody has that opinion, and it also just
Yes.
becomes a way of like it's like there's safety in it, right? Like, oh,
Hmm.
there's attention on this. That's all.
Hmm.
I don't want to be outside of that. I don't want to be the one
Right.
to stand right. Like for instance, there was this girl who at my high school. My high school was tiny, and I was
Hmm.
just I don't know for some reason I was between girlfriends. I was just hard up, and there was this chick who she was. I'm being mean now, but I'm just also just keeping it a buck of how I saw the time. She was fugly, but she was stacked up in the back, and like and nobody like she was so unpopular though. It was so like cool to shit on this girl. But
Right.
I was like on the sneak, I was like, yeah, let me get him up. Let me get him up. Because it's just like and that thing, right? There's like, yeah, I'm not about to be. I didn't want to, and then when niggas found out, I was like, nah, nah, nah.
Who me? No, I would never. What are you talking about?
So it's like I'm not gonna be brave. I'm not gonna be brave enough to call one having tastes that aren't the standard,
First of all, when you
right?
say brave, dog, like that's one way social media ruined the word brave. Because like, if you're the type of person who like you post a picture of yourself and everyone's like, "You're so brave," that's like immediately like, "Oh shit, nah, now I'm never posting anything again." Like, I'm brave. Like me posting myself is courageous. God damn, like that's the worst drag in the fucking world, yo. That's the worst drag in history
Uh,
of the world. Like,
okay,
yo, yeah, yo, I don't know. I couldn't. Like, if I was you, I wouldn't. But that's brave, bro. Like,
yo, wow, yo, what's inside of you? What's inside of you? Because the outside, but what's inside of you? Wow, really beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's
that's so awful, yo. Oh, that's so
Okay.
awkward. But it's funny because like Jonathan Majors became fairly popular in the last couple years with Lovecraft Country, and then obviously he's like the new Creed villain. He's the villain in the Ant-Man movie Quantum Mania. But then I started to think about like types of beauty that were never centered in like Hollywood or otherwise. And I thought about Simu Liu because Simu is like is an Asian man, and he basically is, because he's in Shang-Chi, he's the main character in Shang-Chi, and he it's a dope movie. Like I saw it and I was like, yo, this is dope. And like this is not like Ryan Reynolds, right? It's not like the same kind of like European, this kind of features happening. But it's like, nah, we be having like dope features, especially like Asian and Black people. We have dope ass features. Like we don't age, because we be having high ass cheekbones. We be having like smooth, clear skin. You know what I'm saying? Our hair be like thick and strong. And I'm like, oh, that's why they rigged the game, because they know they were fucking crumble. Like, you see what Marlon Brando looked like at the end of his life? He looked fucking awful. He looked like a fucking decrepit corpse, yo.
There's this really mean video of like certain like actresses like at one point in their career and at the end, and certain of them it is frightening though. It is truly, truly frightening just how some of them look. Like, yo, what the I will say this. White people next, bro. What happens to white people next when they age is that's cruel. That's a cruelty. That's no, and that I don't really be seeing that heavy on nobody else. And I want to go with you here too. I just wanted to say this because what you originally brought up made me also think. Just this week, I saw somebody post that Jasmine Sullivan can't sing, and I'm like, I'm like, what are you saying now? What are you talking about? Like, what? Okay, and now it's like you get to have taste, but at the same time, like, my nigga, come on, man. Like, we can't even have a conversation now if you say shit like that. What metrics are you using? It's one thing to say she's not your preference. To say she's not good at it is like,
that's super wild, G. Like, that's super wild. It's like, it reminds me of that conversation where it's like, oh, if I choose not to date trans women, or I'm not attracted to trans women, that I'm transphobic. Like, I'm just like, nah, Brett. Like, come on, man.
Like,
come on, man.
I just want to.
It's social media only does binaries. Social media only does binaries.
And you can't have, like, information is just straight broken now. It's like, did we already talk about that Joe Rogan thing?
No, which thing?
There was a deep fake made recently of like Joe Rogan's podcast and him talking to some guy, and they're talking about some supplement that you can buy on Amazon, and the shit is just all fake. But it's so believable. It's so believable. It's like you can't tell what's happening anymore. There's no way to tell what the fuck is happening anymore. Not legit.
Yeah, there's no universe left. It's just like, it's just random takes just firing off every 5 seconds, and you have to try to like sort the takes from people's sincere opinions, because people are spouting off takes for attention, and then it just becomes this like crazy clusterfuck of trying to sort a flood of information that's all actually bad, like all bad information, and you're still trying to like somehow make sense of it. And you're like, well, if I'm trying to make sense of something that's like entirely bad and has no good faith aspect to it, what am I even making sense of, right? Like, it just makes sense to just reflect on my own thoughts.
Nah, that's the worst part. It does there are good faith actors in there. You see it every day. That's how they fuck. That's it. The creators, the real people that they slip through here and there every day, right? That convince you that this is real when 99.997% of it is just bad actors. Like to your point, it's incredibly stacked with bad actors, but there's so much activity, and the way the algorithm is designed, it'll always trick you back in to seeming like there's something of value here. We don't come back because we don't think there's nothing of value here. We go, no, I got something. No, I'm really glad I saw that thing about how you can put a nail on the back of a hammer. And right, like all this shit, that was valuable. No, you can't tell me that wasn't valuable. right? And it's just like, yeah, but on mass, this is not good for your life.
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's
mean, I know that like when I saw, I was only like peripheral to the Jonathan Majors is ugly conversation, like because I was getting tweets
It's a big
about
nose.
tweets.
Excuse me. And the whole that whole conversation is simply his nose is too big. That's
Yeah, no,
all
seriously.
it's actually saying.
And his nose is too black. Like, let's be real. His nose is too big and his nose is too black. Because hold on. Because when we start talking about big noses, Adam Driver has a big nose, and I be seeing all the white girls post about like, oh well, Adam Driver, he could choke slam me through a table. Like they're like any white man with a big Adrian Brody.
Hold on, Kat. Hold on, Drew. What white men that women like do make sense to you? What white men? Because for me, I'm usually confused as shit.
Yeah. Like, because they like, first of all,
like niggas to me.
Black and white women alike have a Jeff Goldblum thing that I would just never. I was never
would have got that. I would have never. You mean the guy from The Fly?
From The Fly, right? All I can ever think about is his teeth falling out. Like, I never get past that. But like, that's a thing. That's a thing. I mean, and you know what? Even like, okay, let's go to the top of the heap of Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Because he's someone who has been part of an accepted beauty standard. And to me, I'm like, first of all, you can't front. That's an Asian man. I've been seeing this nigga his whole life. This nigga's Asian. Like, I know what an Asian looks like. And like, no disrespect to my Asian brethren out there, but that's an Asian man. And then two, throughout maybe the last decade and a half, you know how niggas, like, when they don't really mind their drinking habits, they'll get bloat face. Mm-hmm. And he's been bloat face for like the better part of 15 years.
He got,
you know what I'm saying? He's mad jowly.
That's the Marlon Brando. That's the Marlon Brando.
Exactly. He's mad jowly. And I think that is something where, okay, Jonathan Majors right now, because he's on that tour of, you know, he bulked up for 2 roles where he has to be bulky. He's essentially like the Mr. T character in the first Rocky series, like just absolutely formidable physical boxer. And even in history, there's precedent because George Foreman was huge. Fucking, you know, there have been huge boxers that like just bulked up and were crazy big. So he's kind of in that mold. And I'm like, so you telling me a black man who's basically like molded his physique to be impossible? Like you got to that impossible point, and y'all look at him and you see, and it's black people talking about this because like white people. Let's just be real. White people, unless they're a certain type of white person, they're like, "Hey, I'm not in this." I don't know. Like,
he's beautiful. Black guy. What are you talking about? Right? Like, they know what they're not out their mouth. No.
No. And it's like there'll be some enthusiastic.
Unless they're trying to get kicked out of the University of Alabama, some stupid shit like that.
Exactly, they're trying to lose their scholarship
to fucking,
Carnegie Mellon and shit, but. Yeah, I mean, most of them they're either going to look at us as like, okay, that's black, so that's just not my category. I don't go there. Or it's like, or that's an Asian. That person looks Asian to me. They don't look ugly. They don't look handsome. They don't look beautiful. They are just Asian. Like, that is how white people, they deal with their bias that way, most of them. And then, you know, you got the fringe racists who are going to say things about certain features that are specific to the race.
There's all kinds of
stuff. Right. But black people, I'm just like, come on, man. Like it's like we get a little and we immediately make me regret that we got anything. Because like even with Simu, with Simu, it was like the conversation was kind of like similar, and it wasn't among Asian people. Because Asian people, they be having their anti-black shit too. And that's certainly part of their culture, and they will admit it, and you see conversations about that. But it's like, damn, like we will drill down to the people who have features like ours and like our uncles and aunties and be like, I don't like that feature. That's ugly. That's nasty. Like, God damn, like they did a fucking number on us.
No, and that's the key right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did a number on us. Yeah. We talk so much about like the physical harms, the things that are like, it's almost like that's a part of the number they did us. It's a hypnotism to focus on that stuff so much that we don't see, man, that was horrible. And that's just
Yeah.
one thing. It's they did a fucking number on us. This is why I brought up that point about the Cold War, right? I think we had this conversation before, and that being a propaganda war. So a propaganda war is a war of it's a media. It has to be a media war,
Right.
right? It's about who won the war in people's minds.
I'm convinced that some of these accounts. Okay, so I don't know if you've seen this conversation, but like I feel like some of these accounts be like Chinese bots, yo. Like for real. Okay, because you saw the spy balloon shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like first it was a spy balloon, then it was a weather balloon, and then it's just like okay,
93 balloons out here, bro.
But then in my mind, I was just like, the fuck they need balloons when they got TikTok? Like they don't need actual like physical. Like the Chinese have been well in on our cybersecurity for a minute. Like they all the information they need to know, they already have. Like we're fooling ourselves if we think that the Chinese are like, oh man, the Americans, let's catch up. Let's get a file going on them. Like they're already deep into it.
So true. If you're asking that question, so you're asking the right question. Do we have any clue, especially as like the citizen, the populace? We know they don't need it to do that. So it obviously wasn't that. And we have no idea what the fuck it was. No. Motherfucking. And it's not that. They don't even need it to do that. So what the fuck is going
there's like four. Listen, my nigga, there's 4 Twitter accounts that people have been like calling out recently, right? I'm pulling some up on the screen, but one of them it's a person named Chris Evans, but his handle is not Captain America, right? And
he's like
viral
a famous bot. That's like a
viral black Twitter. I blocked him. I blocked him because as soon as I saw that there was there was some controversy over whether these accounts were authentic, I was like, oh nah, this shit is fake. Like this should have been fake. So not Captain America, all he posts is like viral clips that will potentially upset black people or kind of be in these conversations. Like if it's like a Jonathan Majors' ugly tweet, this nigga's retweeting it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or like, this kind of police brutality or whatever. Mm-hmm. This is the argument that happened between a Karen and this, but like he's tweeting it. He's giving a little comments and funny shit. And I'm like, okay. And then people start to be like, yo, has anyone ever seen him post anything personal? Has anyone ever seen him post like a selfie or like where he's at, what he's doing? And it's like, nah. There's another account called Soleil, S-O-L-E with the accent, right? Same thing. Popped up on Twitter like maybe a little less than a year ago. Super viral account. And all it is these little news items and shit. And yo, people are just like, yo, has anyone ever verified who these people are? And people started digging, and it was like, yo, there was not one post that would indicate this is a person. Not one. It's only they have an Avi, but it's a very generic type of Avi. I was like, oh, so niggas is on the circle. You know what I mean? Like, niggas is on the circle.
Well, you mean they just followed the Shade Room's strategy?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yo. First of all,
are we gonna talk about that? About
yo, shout out to Goddess Amina who's on the chat. Yo, have you ever seen the account Rap House TV?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So Rap House TV, niggas went to the fucking Instagram info, and it says country of origin, India. And also, there's another one. There's another one called Say Cheese DTL, and it's a very, very similar. Like it'll be like viral hip hop, like rapper got shot type of content, like that kind of shit. And both of them are based in India, dog. Like both, literally, just other cultures being like, "Oh, these niggas argue. That's easy social media engagement. Like, let's make an account and blow it up."
Yo. It's like, meanwhile, we don't know what those balloons were.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? It's like the disconnect between those two things is there is no, I say this all the time, there is no need for a conspiracy theory. The way the world is presently constructed is wild enough
Yeah, exactly.
to explain exactly why shit is as broken as it is.
Yeah. No,
It doesn't make any fucking sense, dog.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Like, I feel like, okay, recently when I started to look at Twitter and Instagram in that way, like, oh, this is like an account to get engagement. So, for instance, one of my cousins is like a huge Steph Curry fan, and he's a huge LeBron troll. Like, he hates all things LeBron. And so, as soon as LeBron broke the all-time scoring record, he starts coming in the chat with all these memes that like negatively compare LeBron and Jordan, which also happen to like bubble up in these times when LeBron's in the news. And I was like, okay, like thanks for feeding the bots and then like recirculating their spam in our chats and like getting them engagement and clicks because you want to troll this one thing. And it's because like provocative information spreads way more. Like that's why I actually like doing this podcast, because I'm like, I don't care who's watching it. It'll be like our friends, you know what I mean? It'll be like, we'll hang out, we'll have a conversation or whatever we do. It's like, I actually don't care enough to like put upon anything. Like no audience matters to me enough to start like faking an opinion or like diving into what's polarizing about a thing. And I feel like that's just terrible for this discourse in general. But like, that is where it is right now.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I just don't like, I don't consider it. Like, I don't find that like I'm focused on my own value, right?
Yeah.
I think I have one of the most valuable things I've done is investigate like esoteric information, right? Like
what?
I kind of went off the deep end in college. Considering fucking astrology and economics and politics and ideas that and nutrition and things that, okay, so I started in the conspiracy theory world a long time ago, right? I was early in 2000.
That's why, you and my dad having the same birthday is crazy, dog. Because I'm like, you niggas be like, y'all are there, like y'all are squarely right there.
I was like, nah, because shit is weird. This doesn't make any sense. Shit is weird. So let me look for other answers. There are questions I have I can't find answers for. The world made no sense to me, right? I noticed then that the world made no fucking sense to me, and that I couldn't find answers for basic shit like what money was. Like for real, I was like, hold on, what the fuck? Like there was just all this kinds of shit that I didn't really understand, but had major effects on my life. Yeah. And I couldn't focus on the things that I was used to focusing on, because the other shit was just taking too much of my attention. Right. And so finding meaningful answers for certain confusing things about the epistemology of the Western world, especially as a Black man, it's helped me survive. I could come back into the world and not be crazy because I found some shit that was like, oh no, okay, I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping. There's things that are weird, right? And we're not focusing on them. And that's a part of it.
See, that's why you have tapped into why I have like a lot of forgiveness and mercy for Kyrie Irving. Because I'm just like, yeah, bro, like you're right. Like something's fucked up here. Like you're never wrong about that. Like something's fucked up here, and you deserve to look into it, because especially who you are in society, like you deserve to look into it. Are you gonna come up with a definitive single source answer to why shit's not right? Probably not. But will you, as a human looking for causality, get to some endpoints that we're all pretty familiar with? Yes, you will. You will get to some of those endpoints, and whatever gives you comfort and security, right? Like whatever gives you comfort and security enough to keep going, like I grant you that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like now that I've been in more spaces with black men, because I've been in spaces with black women, and their job and their role is much different in our community and in the larger world, right? And so they find ways to ground within their own circles. Black women do, black and brown women especially. But black men, like often we don't like ground within our own circles. Like we do personally, like we have grounding, like black male relationships in our personal circles, but we often, as a larger body, like end up competing with each other and like, yeah, exactly. So it can be kind of like tough, but that is why I understand why people seek out information for that grounding like element, and it's very alluring. Some of that information, like some of that information, is extremely alluring, and to me, I'm always going to be intrigued about information, whether or not it seems verifiable, because it just leads me down another path. Like whatever the path is, it just will lead me down another and then another and then another. So that even that process can be in some ways soothing, right? Like it's just like the lifelong quest for knowledge. Like that's soothing in a certain way. So I'm never mad at Kyrie. That's why I wrote that piece about him, because I just can't be mad at bro for doing many of the same things that I've done throughout my life, just in another form and with a huge platform.
Because I'll say this. A thing that's weird to me is the outsized amount of attention that Kyrie got for having opinions, and while it's garnered attention, what's going on with Ja Morant?
Wow.
What's going on?
First of all,
because I think that's way more fucking important, my nigga, than Kyrie's fucking opinions.
Okay, so you know about the laser pointer story with Ja Morant, right?
I guess so.
All right, so this is what happened. There was an NBA investigation because the Grizzlies, Ja Morant's team, played the Pacers at Indiana, right? And first of all, that's a lot of context for me, because once you say like Indiana to me as a black person, I'm just like already. Like right. Indiana fans were saying racist shit to LeBron like this year. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron James, right? Like probably the biggest athlete in the world. They were saying racist shit, and they were saying racist shit to AI 20 years ago. Like it's Indiana, right? Like so they're like the niggas who play for us are cool, but we don't fuck with none of you rest of you niggas, right? So like Boston, Indiana, those are the same. Utah, all those are the same to me. Like in terms of white profiles, like I'm racially profiling them niggas as I don't want to be there. And so they basically were at Indiana, and Ja, who's been rolling with his dad T Morant, comes with him to a lot of the games. And so he was with him in the traveling, whatever traveling group that the team has. And then I guess a couple of his friends are already part of it, right? And so Ja gets into a car, and Pacers staff claim that there was a red laser pointer coming out of the car that Ja Morant was in, and that they kind of like complained, and they said it was being pointed. I think they said something like there was a verbal altercation, and then I know somebody says something about aggressively, like something happened that was aggressively, and so it's just like there was laser pointed at aggressively, whatever. But Ja is an interesting case because I think he's the type of athlete like Allen Iverson, where he has a lot of like the youthful following, like the kind of like, the rebel, go against the grain, athletic, dynamic, like a little bit scattered. Like he's not a super composed player, but he's really good. He's explosive, and he'll talk shit. Like he'll talk shit, and he'll try as best he might to back it up. But then after this incident, the NBA did an investigation. They could not conclude whether there was a weapon in the car that was pointing the laser. There was no way to know. And it was on the heels of another thing that happened with Ja Morant, with Shannon Sharpe. Like he was talking shit to Shannon Sharpe at the Laker game, and then Shannon Sharpe and his dad got into it a little bit. But what seems to be happening to Ja Morant, it's like the radicalization of him, like where there's a little bit of him being dumb and young, and then there's a little bit of like, now let's blow up the fact that he's done these couple of things.
No, but here's the thing. John Morant's one of the biggest stars in the NBA, correct?
Yeah, big time.
And he's aware of that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what character is he choosing to be with that influence?
He's definitely choosing to be an outside the lines kind of villain.
Because it looks like Gilbert Arenas to me.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's elements of it. There's elements of it.
And it's just like that. And I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about community-wise, like in basketball. Why don't we give a fuck about that? Like, why is that not? This is what I mean. It's like our community. So what Kyrie is kind of pointing to, or should be pointing to, is what's going on here. Why don't we have we don't have any eldership? We don't have any where of our systems. Because we need to be able to rein this. What the fuck is happening, and so that he doesn't just get spanked by Western white media, right? Like, and that's
that's true. We don't have a lot of internal checks and balances. Like a lot of our internal checks and balances. Wow. Here, you know what? Here's a reason. There's two reasons. Like one, I want to comment on the fact that you're right. We don't have them, or that they're not as publicly effective. So one of the ways that that public eldership happened was that Shannon Sharpe talked about John Morant. First of all, when Shannon Sharpe got into the altercation with John Morant's dad, he apologized. Like the next day on his show, he was like, yo, that's my bad. Like I represent something. And even if whatever people support, whatever I did, I didn't want to appear that way. That's not my standard of behavior. So I'm going to like check myself on this. And that was this kind of responsible eldership that I feel like is often lacking. But then after this whole laser pointer situation, what Shannon Sharpe said, it like skewed a little bit respectability. It skewed a little bit how people talked about Allen Iverson. Yeah, exactly, right. So he's on Fox, like it's gonna be partly that, but it was this like, it was definitely not said to chastise. You know what I mean? Like I think you can give guidance with love, like you can give like feedback with love, and I definitely sensed that in both of his comments about John Morant, like in recent comments where it was just like, hey, like who are you trying to be? Like what do you want to represent? Like maybe I have it fucked up. Maybe I don't know what you're trying to represent, and there's something here that is missing in this picture. But my guess is that when you're the face of an NBA franchise, you probably don't want to represent certain things, because even weeks prior to that, there was a woman, a girl actually, who had a Grizzlies signed basketball, and someone stole it from her at the game. So it was this little white girl, and she tweeted about it, and there was a news story, and John Morant like retweeted the news tweet and was like, yo, tell me who you are and like where you are, and I'll get you a signed basketball, which is, I think that's exemplary of who he is, right? Yeah. And it didn't hurt that it was a little white girl. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna come to the little white girl rescue. You want a basketball? Like, got one. It didn't hurt, but I also just think that he did that sincerely. Like, I think he would have done it for a little black boy. I think he would have done it for any fan who really wanted it, right? And who had the ball stolen from them, because they got it stolen like at the arena. It was some foul shit. And so he was like, yo, if I can help you and you're a fan, like I want to help you. But I don't think he's thinking as clearly about how that same young fan may perceive these other things that he's doing publicly.
And he shouldn't necessarily have to. What's T. Morant's role? What do you? Because are you just a car? Are you the dude?
He's in his second childhood.
Are you the dude who drove his son to shoot P&B Rock in the Roscoe's?
Yeah.
Are you giving him nothing to guide him? Right? Like, where's because it's supposed to be you. That's your fucking job, my nigga. And I say that as a dad. It's my motherfucking job.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real.
It's like, because you out here in fights with Shannon Sharpe and in the car with Laser Point. Like, whether you always in the mix with the stupid shit.
Yeah, that's mad true. That's mad true. But you know what? There's this like refuser. I'm going through this right now where my mortality is so upon me, and we joke about it a lot on the podcast. It's like, you know, weight gain or like things that happen to you as you get older that are harder. You know, these type of areas these titty areas. You know what I mean?
Why did hair think I want you to leave here and start growing in my nose?
In my nose, dog.
Yo, like that, the nose
That's
hair.
appalling.
There's a fury about them, and they're so good at avoiding being cut as well.
Oh my first God. Of all, how do you look anything but angry with nose hairs? like nigga, like whatever your nostrils are doing are now highlighted.
Nose hair is inappropriate. Hair from the nose to the mustache, those being one thing. No. Separation of church and state, my friend.
First of all, that's like why I'm growing the hair on my head long. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, at least I'm not one of these old niggas. Like I still got my shit. It's still here. It can grow. And
listen,
like
I'm looking forward for a reason. There's certain angles right now I would prefer not to investigate on camera. I'm not with it, bro. This aging shit is not. I get it. I definitely get it. But
but there's aspects of it that are fun and I'm proud to embrace.
It's actually a great thing. Yeah. Life has never been absent of these stresses. It's never been absent of this like kind of concern that for what's to come, that something is missing out, especially once I'm cognitive that I'm missing out on something. That's a part of what that means I care about something.
Yeah.
There's something I still want and I value it and I still value it. Right. Yeah. I want it and I value it. Right. And it's just like, yo, if you don't at some point, man, you gotta embrace it. You actually don't have to embrace that, but it's real ugly when you don't. And you can see it. Whether people know it or not, they always can see.
All right. So you want to hear a story about someone who refused to age?
Sure. Yes.
Right. So I found this clip. I found out about a news story where a 22-year-old girls junior varsity coach decided that she was going to play in her her ninth graders JV game and impersonate a player on the team to play this other group of girls, right? And I found the clip. I'm gonna see if I could play the clip to the point where it's where I can pull it up. But I found the clip and it was I thought we had to go through this scope of what's going on here. But I found it. I'm pause it here. I'm gonna throw it up on the screen. Let me see if I get it on the right.
On the Jumbotron.
On the Jumbotron. Let's put it on the Summer Jam screen. All right, so let me see if I can make it small enough so it's actually visible. All right, so this is the news story. I'm gonna see if I can turn it up a little bit. About the Churchland, I think it was Churchland High. Yeah, Churchland High School girls team. The mother of a player.
The sound started, then it went out.
You still hear it?
Nah. It started and then it went out. It was like it was almost like it's like it blew out because it was too loud.
All right, I'm let me see if I'll still remain quiet and see if it plays better.
Yeah, son. It's crazy when you can't hear. It shows you how important sound. All right, here we go. Let me see. Get that fucking bullshit out of here, little bitch. Come with that weak shit.
Ball. Let's run that back. Yo, she wasn't even trying to stay like incognito. She was like, no, first of all, I'm gonna establish dominance.
In the post. First of all, this is my block right here. I'm on the block right here.
Like, yo, that's not even a bad drive. She got the first step, and she's coming with the help defense. Look at this. Get out of here.
Get that shit out of here. Bringing it up. Ooh, get the corner. Got you. Bang. And one. Money. Cash money. When you look at that little white girl kid, she's like 4.5. That's a Noah. She's 4.5 years old, my nigga. That is a baby. She's out there.
Yo, first of all,
you
notice how one of her players, after she gets the block, one of her players shoves her in the back, like, yeah.
Mad hard, bro. So aggressive. I almost forgot she was a child. Like, not a child.
No. First of all,
I would believe she's a kid based on that.
I would believe she was a kid, but also it's like there's another play that's about to come up that actually had me dying. Because this is a pretty short highlight reel, and we're gonna get into why that's disappointing. But like,
did they say how many numbers? Did they drop her numbers?
Yo, they don't. I don't think they drop her numbers. I'm about to look the highlight reel is too short, bro. Like, I'm like, this should be this should be like an 8-minute clip, yo. It should be like an 8-minute clip of highlights. Like, she went for
like 9 and 4 with 3 rebounds. That way 3 assists
and a block.
Yeah, I mean a block. Yeah,
okay,
2 turnovers.
Look at this next one. I'm not. You see that? You see how she would everyone? Do you see that?
Hell yeah! The cash money. Like,
this is wild to me.
So disrespectful.
How are you calling the N1? Like, yo, if I was on the playground over at St. John's Court and I got an N1 on 13-year-olds and I behave this way, that is craziness.
In a uniform in front of like these kids' parents. Their parents.
First of all, parents are the only people there. Let's be real. Parents are the only people there.
Just to go shit on somebody's parents. Like they
my God.
I guess, yeah.
Hold on. I gotta show you this part again because it's just too much. I'm gonna probably have to slow it down so that people can see. People can see actually that she did the N1 symbol. She did the N1 symbol on a little girl.
I didn't get that. Bunnies.
Got it.
Yeah, baby. Get your money. Swagger into the line. Swagger. She hit the money. Let's go. She missed it.
She got a rebound. She got a rebound. It got fouled again. She got fouled.
You can't call that. This ref knows better. You can't call that. This ref knows something.
First of all, so many falsehoods are going on in this game. First of all, the ref knows better. This ref has reffed these games. This ref knows who that is. I'm not calling no fouls. I'm not calling no fouls. Fuck out of here, bro.
There's only one foul in this game. It's a flagrant. It's a flagrant 5. This is a flagrant 5 on you.
It's a technical. Get her out of the game.
Get her out of the league.
Chill.
Yo, and she did. She got her whole team out of the league, didn't she?
Yo, and then honestly, if I'm gonna be real with you. So this summer I had a game. It was like one of the hottest days too. It was probably like 96 that day. And I had a game against a kid who was probably 18 or 19, and I won a one-on-one game against him. It was tight the whole way, and I won literally on a 3-point basket where I was just like I was exhausted, and I was just like, yo, as soon as he checks up, I'm gonna pull it. And so I pulled it, and I was like, yeah, nigga, I'm 40, nigga, fuck you, nigga. Like, but it was like that's a different kind of circumstance because he looked like he played on a team. He was obviously in somewhat of a grown person's body, like in some way, right? And you know, he should and ostensibly would have more stamina, if not more strength than I did, right? And so there was a certain kind of victory to that. This, I'll tell you, if I ever came out of my natural living mind and did something like this, I'm putting up Wilt numbers, bro. Like
yeah. Nah, because I just thought about it though. This shit would be dumb fun. It would be dumb fun. Like specifically this age, because they're like they can move technically, but it's like you ain't shit, little nigga. Like keeping the ball up. Yes,
Like, yo, if and when Cairo is like 13, right, and he can hoop even a little bit, I'm coming out there to be like,
Yes.
all right, we'll see, man.
But
If
yo,
I still have two good Achilles,
we're gonna see about him. Hopefully, it's interesting because it's like when he plays in his league. I want to go. When he plays in his league, he wants to be like night. He's good. He plays good, but he wants to be all night. Then with me, all of a sudden, it's ruthless. This nigga plays ruthless with me. This nigga is trying to win at all costs. And so if we get that version of a 13-year-old Cairo, it's gonna be interesting. I will tell you, this nigga is already interesting sometimes. It's like you little, like he at 7, he can make me mad sometimes. Like, oh no, I can't believe you got that shit. Oh, god damn. It's soccer, right? He can't in basketball yet, but by 13, he might be able to get some jimmies off that I didn't want him to get off, man.
Exactly. I'm like, nah, I'm putting up Wilt numbers, G. Like, I refuse. So the other thing that happened this summer, which kind of ended my summer, was I did actually play against some like 13, 14-year-olds because I do my workout on a court alone, and it's just a shooting workout. Like, it's just drills, right? And so some like 13, 14-year-olds came up and they're like, hey, can we play? And they're like, some young kids. And in that game, I played not seriously. It was like, I'm just going to shoot threes. I'm just going to pass to you guys and like facilitate a game. But going for a rebound, I got a rebound that like jammed my finger super hard. Like I sprained a finger on jamming it. And I was just like, yeah, this is why I can't really be fucking with none of this shit. Like, this is why I can't really.
I remember recently, not like a month or so ago, and there was 2 things that happened. It was like, oh yeah, this always sucked. I hated this shit, right?
Yeah. It's the worst. It's the worst feeling.
But the other part was like, yeah, and when you 40, you don't got no time for that shit. You don't got no. I don't got no.
When I say that ended my summer hooping, like I was hooping all summer, and that I was just like, first I was like, time out. First of all, I was like, time out, and they were like, Mister, are you okay? they hit me with the Mister. I was like, nah, like I'm good. Like you could play with my ball. I'm gonna go sit.
Yo. I had a shameful moment. I went out to play ball, just me, Cairo, and Noah, right? And Noah, he never is really that interested. He's more interested now. So I'm out there, I'm playing, having a good time. I start doing a jumping workout, right? So going up, because you really have a dominant foot usually, right? Like you plant left, go right, you plant right, go left. So I was doing it, plant left, go right, which is my dominant. And then I went to I was doing my last jump and my knee did one of those click. Like I haven't had one of those since my surgery, right?
You got adjustable knees. You got adjustable knees now.
And now I can't, like, now I'm like, all right, Carol, we gotta go. Like, I'm like, yeah, we gotta go home. Yeah. And it's like, yo, that shit is so corny to me. I'm like, your dad. Oh, daddy hurt himself, so we have to go home. Oh, dad jumped and he hurt himself. Like, nigga.
Yo, what's the crazy shit is like, you're like legitimately an athletic dad. Like you're not like a guy who shouldn't be and who is. You're an athletic dad. You're active. And yeah, there's nothing cornier than that moment. Like in yourself, like within you, there, like the moment of me hitting the shot against the 18-year-old, it does not stack up to the moment of me jamming my finger against some 13-year-old. Like that moment is far more embarrassing and defeating and demoralizing than any like lucky win against an athletic team.
It's like the worst because it's like. And because I don't go out to play basketball for that, but it's the same thing that like professional basketball players tell you, where it's like eventually it's like you're just trying to avoid losing. You're not going out there to win. You're just going out there not to lose. Like you can't. Like it just hurts to lose too bad. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
winning, winning doesn't even feel good anymore. It's like, it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, good. I avoided pain again. Yeah, bro. This
I'm,
aging shit.
you know what though? Here's where one of the ways I'm proud and happy to age. So one of the things about aging that's been cool is I've gotten to now interact with people who are younger, who are a lot younger, but who are still adults, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I've been in like some editorial job type of roles where people who are in their mid 20s. I've been in some parties now where I've dated some people who still have the two in front of their name, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
in front of their age, and having those experiences is cool because I'm like, I don't want to go as far to say I'm a cool old nigga, but I'm kind of like a cool old nigga. You know what I mean? I'm cruising into that part of my life where old age isn't shutting my mind down. It isn't completely wrecking my body. I'm aging, of course, right? And like, the things that I had dexterity, whether mental or physical, to do before, I don't have the same dexterity to do now, but I have this awareness that I didn't have then. I have this ability to like listen to conversations and kind of see what's going on. And also like not to like embarrass myself. Sometimes I hear those people, the younger people, like saying things. I'm like, oh, I remember when I was dumb enough to say some dumbass shit like that when it was my opinion, and I just don't say shit now. Like, and I'm like, yeah, some of those parts are pretty cool. And then, definitely the coolest, or one of the coolest parts for my vain self, for my ego, is when they're like, you're what? You're 39? What? Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, and sometimes it's like, maybe it's like, you like, that's a little too much. Like 39 is not that old, nigga. Like, but I'll take it. I'll also take it. I'll be like, yeah, I drink water and I work out.
It's weird. The world is so weird now too, though, because it's like young people like are so scared of being 30. It's just like
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be. I'm old. It's like, but the reality is, it's like I'm definitely not old. Like that's the fact. I'm not old.
Yeah.
I'm, and if I'm not old, I might not be a young person. It depends on what you mean by young, but like I'm definitely young. Like I'm definitely not old yet. I
My
haven't.
definition, I think that we've crossed that threshold where my definition now of whether someone is old or young is, are you surprised when they die? Like, if you are at an age where there's any amount of surprise that you die, to me, you're still young. If there's any amount of surprise, it's the same thing as when you post on social media and it's like, that's brave. If you die and they're like, you lived a long life, you lived a good life, then you were the appropriate age of death. Like you were not young anymore. You know what I mean? You had completed a very typical life cycle. But if you, for any reason, you're like, damn, he was so young, and you was in your 50s or your 60s, maybe to some school age kid, you're old, great. But in the grand scheme of things, you didn't live a long life.
To die. That's
right.
Not time to die. Like you're not trying, like, because here's the reality. It's like I've met several now. I wouldn't say they're a majority, but I've met in my own life several people who were old enough to be like, yeah, I'm ready to die. Like I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm dealing right. Like that is a thing.
Yeah.
If you're not in your 60s, generally, especially nowadays, like it's like
no, not nowadays.
Like, nah, I'm not trying to be. Nah,
But I want to say this to black men while we're on the topic, because like Trugoy from De La Soul passed away at 54, which was super tragic. When I think about like Fife, when I think about Doom, when I think about like these rap legends and entertainment and history legends, because it doesn't really happen to actors. I think actors tend to take care of themselves a little bit more because their body is their instrument in a way, or they see their body as their instrument. But musicians, unfortunately, because of some of the habits of that lifestyle and touring, it's like we're seeing a lot of musicians die in their late 40s and early 50s. And I feel like a lot of the reason is, their intake, like what they're putting into their bodies, their lack of sleep. But I just find it like so startling because a lot of them are our contemporaries. A lot of them could, it seems, live longer lives. Like it feels like they have the resources. They might have access to information about congenital disease to help them avoid it. And I'm gonna be straight up with you, G. Like I'm getting my colon checked this year. I'm getting my lungs checked. I'm getting everything checked every year from now on. And I've been pretty good about like getting a physical, but I'm getting everything checked every year from now on. Right. And this is even with longevity running in my family, because I don't trust the food. I don't trust the food that we've been eating for most of our lives. I don't trust the fact that Black men are getting colon cancer at earlier ages every year. Black men are dealing with chronic disease and diabetes and hypertension at greater rates every year. And I'm like, nah, this genetically modified food, this fast food, this high caloric, low value nutrition shit, this stressful life under late stage capitalism, that is not a formula for me to reach that longevity. That's really an inheritance that I could get. That's really one of my birthrights is longevity from both of my family lines. And we ain't getting it. It's like we ain't getting it because we don't have these ways to like take care of ourselves and our bodies.
You know, you don't need a conspiracy theory, dog. You see what I'm saying? Like you just said, like you said it. That's like, and it's so you said who seemingly would have access to resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to make any presumption about what their financial situation is, but what we can see is that. But what we know from evidence is that rappers don't actually tend to extricate themselves from the same financial predicaments as regular people. Meaning that what ends up happening is that they live paycheck to paycheck. Most Americans live paycheck to paycheck, period. It has nothing to do with the amount of money you're making. So, the way things are presently structured, I won't say structured, it's not easy to access healthful options, meaning it's far easier to access unhealthy options.
Yeah.
We could go deep into, but if you just go into a grocery store, and a great example, so here in California, we have Erewhon's, right? And Erewhon's are it's a kind of grocery store that's like, it's bougier than Whole Foods.
Okay.
Right?
They be having flax seeds and
there's like a TikTok.
Trafala. They got Trafala out there.
And they be having shakes that are like $50, like $50 type shake shit, right?
Yeah.
But I'm a member at Erewhon. And if you go into an Erewhon and you look, if you were actually to track the amount, the square footage and how much of the square footage is taken up by refrigerated food that is refrigerated or will need to be, like the produce, right? All that stuff is refrigerated. And the place where there are dry grains, it's relatively even. Like there's not Erewhons are small generally.
Yeah. So
they just don't give you a lot of space. They don't fill a lot of extra space for dry grains. It's just a pretty small store that's about 30% refrigerated stuff and 70% the rest, right?
Right.
Comparing that, for me, it's Ralph's. If I go into a Ralph's, how much of that store is refrigerated and then how much is just rows and rows and rows of dry goods, which have to be grains, which have to be processed in order to be, then they have to have preservatives and they're highly flavored and then they're boxed and then the boxing is entertainment. All of this is entertainment, bro. They're TV shows. We eat TV shows for our mouths.
Yeah.
It's more entertainment.
It's just a feeling.
We don't eat, so we go and it's like even the things that we think it's like broccoli, right? You go, oh, broccoli. Well, broccoli is inherently it's manufactured, right? And that's not a bad thing, but it's a mustard green. If you understand that it's in the mustard green family, it's already been modified to go, hey, I just want the meatiest parts. Give me that. Ooh, I want meaty. I want all the rest of it. Get that out of here. All that leafy shit. Get that leafy shit out of here, right? And we don't even want broccoli. Broccoli, our whole food system is the cream of the cream of the cream of the crop. And we throw everything else away. But the cream is the shit that's the worst for you.
Yeah.
You can't eat an animal, just eat the flesh and throw everything inside of it out. That's not how you do that.
Yeah.
That's the thing we don't get. That's not how you do that.
Yo, the First Nations is laughing at us, G. The First Nations is laughing at us. And, you know, I'm so glad that we were able to bring this into a conversation about aging based on a basketball clip of a 22-year-old playing a JV game. Because, yeah, like I want to age gracefully, you know what I'm saying? And I want to age like mindfully. And I also want my people to, like, I want my my black men, my brothers, my black women, I want us to age mindfully. And I just feel like in America, you can't. Like
No.
if you really like in America, it's like antithetical.
Can I say, and I'm just going to say, so you know I practice IFA. IFA has said several things. One, it has said recently that it has told us for the last 2 years we need to get medical checks. So your ancestors, your Ori knows what you need without even you know hearing that. Also, it's been saying that we're hypnotized. We've been hypnotized. So, and because of the hypnotism, the fish don't understand the fish, the birds don't understand the birds, the we can't understand each other. We can't hear each other because we've all been hypnotized, right?
Wow.
And so, and what was the final one? Let me see if it'll come back to me. It was based on something that you said with the well, it doesn't matter. It ultimately doesn't matter because it'll come back to me. But these things are we're living out of alignment a lot of times and dealing with the repercussions of that. But we have the alignment is still available to us. The distraction doesn't make it so that it's our responsibility to recognize that we're being hypnotized, right? Right. These are all hypnotisms. So that's literally how it works.
Yeah.
A scroll is a hypnotism. It's the same focus here, focus here, focus here, focus here. It's the same fucking thing, right? TV, that buzz, those are hypnotisms, right? That draw your attention and they give you a sense of the world. It tells you this is what's happening. Right? That's what happens in a hypnotism. Somebody tells you this is happening. But that's not reality is still available to look at for yourself. That's one thing.
For so long, only for so long though, because now there's the metaverse, and now it's the deep fakes, and now it's the AIs, and now it's like you think reality is there until it's not, until it just fucking disappears one day.
And so that's why I'm like, that's why I go to IFA on this, where I go, there's a thing that is, it can't be externalized and it can't be calculated for. So my ability to contact myself, my phone, that's what my phone is trying to interrupt. Right? But that is not something it's like it exists in a dimension nobody can enter as presently constructed. There's like a trick to the way the world is. And that's what IFA does some very beautiful things about, like your Ori, like we have several Oris, right? Like our head, which is our face, but you also have a head here, your gut. You have, and even your head has a head. It's here, your crown. It's your here. It's your iponrin in your toe. Those are all your head. Don't get confused. You can contact your head. They can't do that. They can't orient all of those points. Only the I has access to that, right? And that's a special science that, like, I think that they're trying to fuck with, but I still don't think that they're there yet. And that's to your point. What we have, like, reality is there. It will always be there. Your birthright will always be there for you.
Yo, matter of fact, it will be. And honestly, I'm gonna start trying to fuck with this Chat GPT shit. On our next episode, I'm gonna just bring it up on the screen and we gonna fuck with that shit. We gonna fuck with that shit because I wanna like jam it up. I wanna jam these niggas up a little bit and like let them know like, nah, it's not real. But yo, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Have a great one.
Love you, bro.
You too, man.
Another one in the can. See you soon, man.
See you next week, man.
Peace.
Peace.